Hey, Melody. So take us back to the beginning. What first inspired you to pursue a career in education and workforce development?
Well, it really started when I was very young. If we want to go back that far, I'm the last of seven kids, and I've been an aunt since I was 8, and I've always taken care of all the children. So I've always loved kids, working with kids, teaching kids to read. And so I did go on. I was first generation college graduate and got my credential in teaching, but fell into at risk students, supplementary education, actually. Did that for about a decade. Left Houston, Texas, running 11 centers, and just actually fell into tech schools. I went in as applying as an admissions counselor and left as a college president. Um, they saw that my skills and my experience would lend to that, and that's where it really started working with the next population to me with at-risk students, those that didn't graduate from high school, those that didn't have a path, first generation, and helping them find a quick path, not a quick path, but a way to go to school, get out, get into a career. And those were back in the day, I'm old, were our certificate programs. And so we did a lot of skills trade, IT, medical. So did that for about a decade and then just gravitated to associates, bachelor's, and even up to the doctorate level, which led me to Lakeland and got recruited from Kaiser University to be their university president. So that's in 2018. That's what got me here.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good place to end up. Lakeland and Polk County is a fantastic place. So it seems like you've worn a lot of hats in your career. So
Yeah.
what led you to becoming the president of ConnectEd Polk?
That was really happenstance. So I knew in running colleges, you have to give 110%. I've always gravitated to smaller schools. I never wanted to do the big universities, and coming to Kaiser, I loved it. Um, but I knew once I couldn't give 110%, I needed to hang my hat. And that day came. My mom became ill, and so I really needed to focus on that. And so, right when that was taking place, after I'd given my notice and knowing I was going to focus on her, a national recruiter reached out to me about this role. And I'm like, I know this role because it was an offshoot of the Lakeland Economic Development Council, and being a part of High Skill, High Wage as a university president. I'm like, I loved it. I loved the mission and what we were trying to achieve by bringing educators and businesses together. Um, and was interviewed by some top leaders in our area, which I knew. And I'm like, well, okay. It just felt like everything I had done up till now prepared me for the role. So it just seemed synergy and God sent.
Yeah, so everything just kind of lined up and fell in place and brought you to where you feel like you belong. You know,
Yeah.
it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So transitioning into nonprofit, that's a big leap. So what kind of motivated you and led you to that mission-driven organization other than, it just felt right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think a business is a business, nonprofit, for profit. I've done both. Not
Yeah.
necessarily, I mean, nonprofit colleges, universities, but this is it was a bit different. I'll tell you that. And I was just inspired by the mission of giving back and having to charge away with a path unknown. Um, and so I really believe that, nonprofit work is in your heart of giving back. And I've always had that in my heart. That's what I always did for 30 years in education. So it just seemed like a perfect match. And I really didn't see it as, oh, I'm running a nonprofit. I saw it as I have a continued mission to serve.
Right. It's all about driving that mission and building a
Yeah.
future for not just the kids, but for the economy and for the
Yeah.
area. So that's
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
So for those that are not familiar with Connect Ed Polk, why is it such a critical piece of the puzzle for Polk County in the future?
Oh, well, yeah. So we are an unknown, unique organization. We are the first of our kind in Polk County and even in our surrounding areas as an intermediary, which is something I had to learn of who we were in our space and what our goals were. And this unique position puts us in a kind of a pole position, if you will, to be the glue, the bridge between businesses and educators. There are many organizations out there doing amazing work that have a pillar that is similar, and we parallel park together in our mission. But our main focus is very laser focused and very one laned. And so it is a unique structure, and it's taken time to develop an understanding of who we are and what we want to accomplish, even ourselves, knowing that this is a path unknown of how and what we can be to the community and service our business because that's our end client, but also be a strong partner with educators and bringing our strategic partners along, our chambers, our EDCs, our vision groups. They have a lot they do. We have our lane. So, yeah.
Right, right. I gotcha. So ConnectEd's mission really focuses around aligning with education and business together. And how do you guys really make that alignment happen?
Listening.
Just
Listening.
really, yeah,
Yeah, it is all about perspective and understanding perceived obstacles and opportunities and desires. And my first year, that's all I did is I listened. What is your perception of what's working, what's not working, what's worked in the past? And what I found is asking very similar questions, they want the same things, and they also shared the same disappointments, and something started, it stopped. I had a relationship, a person left. I really want to, I've explained this, but I don't see action behind it, or I've had a strong partnership, I don't know where they went. And it's been momentary. Some very high impactful initiatives have just fallen away. And that's where I clearly saw the path of being glue, of being a person behind the scenes, an organization behind the scenes, um, keeping those initiatives and creating those partnerships that are long lasting and sustainable to build that trust, to rebuild trust, to create a partnership of co co-collaboration and ownership and responsibility on both sides. No finger pointing, but handshakes and hugs, so to speak, to create the change they both desire. And that was the beauty of the learnings, were that they want the same things. It's just having the bandwidth is huge, right? To be able to kick that initiative down the road or keep that partnership and in a systematic approach. Somebody needs to spearhead that. Somebody needs to be that glue, to keep it going and making it have lasting impact, and get the results both want. Is a
right,
informed, ready graduate. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So sometimes do you see frustration with businesses that are trying to do the work and they just can't figure out how to get it happening? Is that one of the things that you see a lot?
Yeah. Yeah. They don't always know how to go to. They don't want to overstep, but they get the end product and they have something to say about it.
Right.
And they don't know how sometimes they can help, but they offer the help. And sometimes educators, they have to live in this box of academic performance that they have to continue focus on. It's a huge responsibility. So any add into that is secondary. It has to be. But how do we include that? Do heavy lifting for the educators, let educators open the doors of those opportunities and the perspectives of, hey, that's really not working the way you're intending it to.
Right. Right.
Right. And being open to listening to that, because that's not an easy thing to say. And you want to create a partnership that works versus pointing fingers. So,
Yeah.
and that's trust, though, that's time.
Yeah. And it's probably hard too because they're so constrained by these academic guidelines that they have to meet in education, that in order to produce the product that businesses are needing,
Right.
we have to do that outside of those educational guidelines and really build after school programs or additional programs and get these kids interested in their free hour or
Yes.
what do they call them, their electives, rather
Right.
than
Right.
choosing to just do something silly. Their elective
Right.
needs to be program focused and looking at the career that they really want to end up in. And I
Yeah.
think, like you say, if we can get this done earlier in the education
Hmm.
process, even as early as middle school, to really get these
Yes.
kids focused, then
Yes.
that's gonna help these programs over the long haul. So I think that's important, why I see so much with ConnectEd Polk and, in building the Winter Haven Tech Council and
Yeah.
with my business in itself,
Right.
we've got to get these kids interested young,
Yeah.
and that's really tough.
The hook 'em. Yes, because coming into ninth grade, you have 4 years to get done what needs to get done to be on that pathway, and that's normally in other areas. I search best practices, innovative ideas to bring back here, and that, yeah, they have a complete. I mean, they're young. I mean, we know that they're going to change their mind. But if it just takes one experience and one person to really motivate a student to see themselves and to entice the things that they didn't sometimes know that's inside them, um, get on that path. And once they get on that path, they become more dedicated to it versus finding it in the 11th or 12th grade. It's a
Right.
little late for, it's never too late. I shouldn't say that. But yes, early and often is always in the space we work in. It's just, what are the processes to make a difference and it not be a one stop wonder? And that's what
Yes.
I don't want any of the businesses to do, because they will not have the ROI on their time. So that's an important piece to it, is creating a systematic approach to the engagement.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, in your work with ConnectEd, what are some of the biggest gaps you're seeing in Polk County right now as far as workforce and education?
Um, Exposure. It's exposure. The worlds are very small. We have a lot of rural areas. We have a lot of low income. They only know what's in their, circle of five. And sometimes their circle of five is nothing to do with maybe what's inside them, and or what they could be challenged to achieve. And so providing them exposure of what's here locally, and also too, let's say Publix, or let's say the sheriff's department. Like, oh, I'll give you an example. We were at Bartow on the 21st, and the sheriff's department brought in their canine group, and those that like to work with animals or want to be a vet or want to do anything in that. You wouldn't think that going to the sheriff's office you could do that. Being I've learned this, a fingerprint latent something, criminology something, where they dissect it was so interesting. They dissect the fingerprints and they get a certification in it. It could build this whole career. Being a Sheriff Judd's podcast, not podcast, but oh gosh, what is he on TikTok?
Right.
So there's a very young lady
Their
who's in charge of
social
all of his
media
meeting.
team.
Yes, so you
Yeah,
wouldn't think, oh, because a lot of kids want to do that. They
right,
wouldn't think of the sheriff's office, but there's an absolute career path that they think sheriff. Oh, I don't want to be a sheriff. But no, you have it's opening those doors in this world of opportunity they otherwise wouldn't know. And that's where
right.
our charge is to open the mind, open the opportunity. So I really feel right now, maybe that'll be different in 5 years, is exposure.
Right. And I think so too, because people think tech companies. I don't want to work in tech. And I talk to these
Right.
kids all the time, and I tell them we need marketers, we need accounting
Yes.
people, we need salespeople, we need everything that has to do with the business still
Business.
needs to be, we still need it for tech companies as well. Not
Hmm.
We don't just need the people that are working in the tech or the cybersecurity or building AI bots and things like that. We need an entire ecosystem of
Hmm.
people working for tech companies. And there are some
Right.
great tech companies here in Polk
Yeah.
County and in Winter Haven specifically that really need people. And, a lot of the time we have to go outside of Polk County to look for those people.
Yeah. it's one of those opening those doors, and they just see at face value. Oh, like you said, tech. I don't want to work in tech. Well, how about working for Kraken and looking at all the opportunities, right? Going to the
Right.
tech council and learning. So it is, it's exposure, absolutely.
Right. Right. So how are you seeing business leaders respond to, your connections and ConnectEd and how you're trying to build this workforce for them?
Some the ones that I know instantly that have a passion for this and or a high need bandwidth, right? And they are all in. But they really do need the guidance of how to create an ROI for their time.
Right.
And that what bringing to the table, I do work with them separately because I say no, they're educators aren't going to be able to do that, but let me challenge you. How could you make that experience happen for the students? And they're like, wow, oh, I can do that. Yeah, you can. I call it frosting and sprinkles.
Right.
So they have the cake is what they have to do in their work day at school, right? How can you put your frosties and sprinkle and make that textbook dance to
Right.
bring real world to it? And so
Right.
that's my challenge to them. And they're like, okay, I can do this. And so it's a response of getting it out of them and showing them what's possible with what they already know and giving that to the students and while supporting the teacher. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I see you guys work a lot with the construction industry and things like
Yeah.
that are pretty huge in Polk County. Do you see good response from the students about construction and the jobs that are related to that? Because a lot of kids think construction, similar to tech, they
Hmm.
probably think, "Ah, I don't want to work in construction. I don't want to be digging ditches
Yeah.
or hammering nails and things like that." Do you
Yeah.
see them understanding that there's a lot more involved in
Too.
construction than just the physical manual labor?
It's so interesting you asked that because just yesterday, I'm working with one of our local construction companies that basically sub all their work out. So they're
Right.
program management. They're working with engineers, architects. They're, um, helping develop the process to build. And she said, they come, I've talked to students and they think, oh, I don't want to work in construction. I don't want to throw a hammer. But wait, no, there's more. And so it is about marketing and educating them on what's possible. Just like you say with IT, we need finance, we need business. So I said, that's a great challenge for me to find the demographic of students. Maybe it's business students, maybe it's finance students that have that mindset, that detailed process mindset that would be a perfect match for a construction company, right? And so it's really just tapping into the right demographic of student, and inspiring them and taking it from there, educating them.
Yeah, I've got a good friend that she's in marketing for construction companies, and she has an amazing time doing it. You get to be creative and really dig in and do fun things.
Right,
Not all jobs have to be blah, and
right.
it's kind of I feel like with ConnectEd and with Winter Haven Tech Council, we get to ignite excitement
Yeah.
within these kids and really get them turned up about jobs
Hmm.
in different industries. And I think
Right.
that's a great part of being involved in these nonprofits that work as a go-between with
Hmm.
education and business, because
Right.
business maybe doesn't have the understanding of how to get people fired up about their industry. And
Right.
I think
Right.
that's kind of our focus is
Right.
we want these people to come out, be excited about these jobs and stay here in our community because that's building our economy. It's growing,
Yeah.
and I think that's great what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you.
Um,
Thank
yeah,
you. It's very mission aligned with the IT council. That's why I'm involved.
yeah, yeah,
But IT is such a huge lift and it needs a very sincere focus, like the IT council is doing and yourself as president, that because it's so ever changing and evolving, and to keep the pipeline going of inspired graduates that are going to be able to come out and fill all those gaps of these new, I know, new jobs with new criteria of skills. That's where that sweet spot is, and that focus needs to be. So very blessed to have the IT Council as a strategic partner in the work. You're frozen. You're frozen.
Sorry,
There
Mel.
you go.
My
That's
internet just
okay.
went out in the office. IT company with internet going out. Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, yeah. Ironic.
Yeah. So what part of your work really gives you the most fulfillment?
Oh, so many things. But of course, at the top of the hill is going to be students seeing I just was at a high school yesterday morning working with a student, and just talking with him about his pathway and what he wants to do, and if he has someone in his corner, does he need, guidance? And in our events, I would say our events, our engagement events, when industry comes to the schools and I get to see their faces, I get to hear the conversations of the students and talk to them about, okay, so what did you learn? Or, wow, I never knew this, or I think I want to do this, or I wanted to do medical, now I know exactly what I want to do. And that just warms my heart. And seeing the businesses know that they're making an impact, I can see it on their faces when they're talking to students and giving them the feedback that the students give in our surveys. They're like, wow, I did make a difference. And that's why they spend their time. That's why they come to the schools, to make a difference. And so seeing both sides of that inspiration, that warms my heart.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. I've done a couple of events for you now, and it's really fun to go in and see these kids, and a lot of them have great ideas, and it's
Yeah.
fantastic to
Yeah.
see those ideas really come to fruition after their hard work, and to have them come up to you while you're talking and ask you questions that really matter.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah. 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 You're awesome.
Yeah.
I know they
So,
loved you.
yeah. So working in education and workforce development, that's a long game. How do you
Yeah.
stay motivated to keep going? Do you have frustrating days? Do you what keeps you pushing? I know the kids are a part of it for
Yeah.
sure. But what really drives you?
I always say it's a high five and a gut punch on a daily basis, because some things just aren't going to work, and
Yeah,
some people aren't going to see things the way you see them,
right,
or see the value in the work, and that's okay, because where there's one that doesn't, there's 10 that do.
right,
And so what motivates me is I'm a problem solver, and I'm a dog that gets a bone, don't let it go until it gets figured out. Yeah,
right,
you can throw dirt on my grave and said you did it, because I'm not stopping. So I
right.
have kind of a gritty, no quit attitude.
Yeah,
And so um, I think it's just seeing things launch, seeing things make an impact drive me.
right.
um, Achieving and not letting my board down, serving our mission. I really have a high responsibility to our community about making this difference and meeting our mission goals. So yeah, all of the above.
Yeah, yeah. And I think too, like it's like in business, it's all about iteration. You really you got to ship fast and make changes as you need. You
Right,
kind of see what's working and what's not, and
right.
really just move on to the
Pivot.
next thing if it's not
Yeah.
working. It
Let her go.
fail fast.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like hurry up, try it out, and if it doesn't work, we'll do something else.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
100%. You know that. You're
yeah,
very gritty.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what's next for ConnectEd Polk? What are you guys looking to really push next?
Well, so we're not a workforce development group. I just want to make that clear. But it is a piece of our work that we just found, ultimately, to have a prepared workforce, end goal, economic growth and serving our business community, is having those prepared graduates. Diving into this work, there was no process to it. There was no, there is, and it's been going on for decades elsewhere, a process and a systematic approach to engagement. And so we've been working on that. Our next step, and we're working with a consultant because it has been a hard thing to figure out how to manage in our current cycle of student engagement, if you will, their schedule, really. And I needed somebody with a different perspective, past history of success to come in and look at how we do things to increase work-based learning. On the continuum, we've created a kind of a menu of continuum from ninth to 12th of exposure, awareness. Now let's get into engagement. That's where we don't have a systematic approach yet. So that's where we're doing a pilot with George Jenkins and Orlando Health, and working with a consultant on creating opportunities in the 12th grade for students to be on site.
Okay.
Right now, they have summer interns and not enough. And again, dirt on my grave. I want year-round internships, year-round work-based
Right.
learning going on, because in other areas they start in the 11th grade and they're on site 11th and 12th. If they can do it, we can do it. We can do it better. So that's really our next step in the process, to then be able to track ROI and say, I got 5 graduates from that school, and so on, because of that engagement process creates that loyal, informed graduate that when I talk to right now, I talk to seniors, and they're like, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know where I want to go. I'm like, what? No. And so my goal in 5 years would be like, I'm going here. This is what we're doing. And they have a plan in place. So yes, that's the vision in the work.
Yeah, and I will say, I was a late bloomer as far as education goes. I just wanted to go to work out of high school and make money and buy a new car and do things
Right.
like that. And I wish there were programs like ConnectEd that kind of gave you an insight into careers that just really are fulfilling. They're fantastic careers. They give you longevity.
Mm-hmm.
But there was really nothing like that. So I
Mm-mm.
didn't go back to college until I was like 31, 32 years old, and I really
Yeah.
wish I had stuck with it right away, and I would have been in a different place in my life. But I think you know it is what it is, and God has a
Right.
plan
Right.
for all of us, and I was
Right.
meant to do it this way. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of where I was at, but
But it
um,
gives you the passion and the care to do what you do for the IT Tech Council,
right, right, it really
right?
does. It really
Yeah.
does.
So you understand.
Yeah, yeah. So if you could share one message with your investors or potential investors or the community at large about ConnectEd Polk, what would that be?
I would say join us in the work. It's work,
Yeah,
though. I
it
mean,
really is.
we handpick our community, because you have to have the want and the will and desire. It has to be passion or purpose. We're not a networking group. Like I said, we're not a chamber. We don't support businesses in that way.
Right.
We drive innovative initiatives. And so we have those that just support our cause because they care about the community, they care about our students and our future. And they know that's our swim lane, is bringing innovative ideas and supporting businesses to have access and a seat at the table. So if you're that person that, that business owner or leader that you want support in that area, wants guidance, wants to make a difference, reach out.
Yeah,
Reach out. Yep.
absolutely. Well, that's great. I really appreciate your time, Mel. I thank you, and we look forward to more conversations. And you
Yes.
guys all keep your eyes out for what we're doing with ConnectEd Polk and Winter Haven Tech Council and everything
Yes.
else. We've got great stuff coming, and we'll talk to you later, Mel.
All right. Great. Great talking to you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
we'll see you.
Okay.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.